Hello, welcome to Whiskers. We are Albany's only no-kill free roaming cat shelter. Our organization is run solely by volunteers. We receive no financial assistance from any state or local agencies. We're run solely on donations, and we rely on the donations to care for the cats, run the shelter, and provide veterinary care to our cats. Our volunteer shifts are two times a day, morning and night, and they're 7 days a week, 365 days per year. As a volunteer, you would be assigned to one shift, which would last anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and you would be assigned a certain area within the shelter, either an area or a room, and you would be working with a crew of other volunteers during your shift. Primarily, your duties while volunteering are cleaning your area, feeding the cats, scooping their litter, giving them fresh water, and most importantly, providing care and loving attention to the cat. We ask that you not pick up the cats or put your face too close to the cats to avoid injury and also to avoid stressing out the cats. You'll get to know the cats in the shelter throughout volunteering here, and there are many characters that reside here. As you enter the shelter, you'll note that there's 2 doors. You'll come in the main door, close it firmly, lock it. You'll be in a vestibule, and then you open the inside door. We never have the two doors open at the same time for the protection of our cats. The same thing when you exit the shelter. You're going to go out the inside door, make sure it's closed firmly, then open the exterior door and close that, and then also make sure it's locked before you walk away from the shelter. Thank you.
This room in here is called the assimilation room. I assume it's named that so that when cats are first brought in, this is one of the first places they go to get them used to the shelter, the smells. And there's a screen door here that is open right now, but gets closed if you're in here working, so that if you open up a cage and they jump out, they're not going to go out and get lost on you. Now, in doing the assimilation room, you just read the card to see, there's a card in every cage to see if there's anything specific you need to do. And this one here says he has something with his right eye, and he looks like he's got a little bit of a problem there, and they need to give him medicine. This guy over here, let me see. This is Treebo, and he likes to be in his cage, so he's here. So what you do here is he has an upstairs, downstairs condo, which is lovely, and it looks like he's already been here and messed it up. But his bedding is in here, which, you know, if it gets soiled, needs to be changed. And there's a nice brush up here if you want to brush him. Somebody has left. His water needs to be replaced every day, and the food for all the cages. When you first come in, you start at the top and you work down. You clean the top cages, then you move down and you clean the bottom cages. And you go in, you sweep up, you do whatever you need to do in here to pick this up. And clean up the litter pan. And so that's all done.
Hi, we're entering the kitchen area on the first floor of the shelter. We communicate with each other, all the volunteers communicate with each other using some of these whiteboards, which I'm going to show you as we go around. This one is for medical notes. If while you're on your shift you find that a cat is having problems in the litter box or has got a cold, maybe they're sneezing and coughing, you should make a note of it on the board here, and that way the vet, when she comes in on Thursday afternoons, can add him or her to her list of kitties that she would normally see anyway. And if we go around the corner, actually into the kitchen, we have another board right here that we write on when a cat has left the shelter for whatever reason. They can leave for medical procedures, or they can go up to the adoption center up in Clifton Park. But our favorite part is when we see the word adopted next to somebody's name. We really get rocking about that. Over here is some simple rules you have to follow if the cats want to be your friend. Up in here is canned food. And down here is some dry food. And all of it gets magically replaced. I don't quite know what happens, but every now and then it gets filled up. It's really kind of fun. And we have your basic shelves with supplies. We have a sink. But the last board that we need to talk about is here. Behind this door is our storage area. This is where you would find paper towels, paper plates, trash bags, booties and gloves. If you come in and you find that you're running low on something, just make a note on the board here, and once again, it will magically appear out of nowhere, we hope. Anyway, thanks for touring the kitchen with me. Hello, welcome to the FeLV Room, also known as feline HIV. There's a couple of misconceptions about this disease that I'd like to put to bed early on. First of all, humans cannot get FeLV by being in contact with the cats. So you can love them, you can, if they're in the mood. And you can touch them, you can pet them, they can lick you, all that kind of stuff, and there's no problem, there's no worry about getting the disease. The other thing is FeLV cats can live with non-FeLV cats. FeLV is transmitted from one cat to another by a deep bite wound. So if you have friendly cats or relaxed cats, they can live together in complete harmony. So you'll see here we have some cages. This little guy up on the top, Butterscotch, is very new to the shelter. He just came a few weeks ago. And he's being quarantined for the time being just to be sure that he only has FeLV. He gets tested for a few other things, which is why he's in a cage, to make sure he doesn't have anything else wrong with him. You'll note on the outside of the cage is a cage card. And on your shift, you would need to complete the cage card to make sure that the medical staff knows that he peed, he had some stuff in his box, and that he ate. And what kind of mood he's in. If he's a playful boy, he is. He's a very playful boy. His name's Butterscotch. He got rescued recently from an organization that was going to euthanize him strictly because he had FeLV. And as you can see, he's a handsome boy who likes attention, don't you? Yes, you do. Anyway, if we go around the corner here, we have another room off the side that's still part of the FeLV room. But it's got some beds, and it's got some shelves. And it also has a rocking chair. And so if while you're on your shift, you feel like giving a little attention to somebody, or someone wants to give you some attention, feel free to sit on down and you will get somebody on your lap sooner rather than later. So thanks for stopping by. This room is called the Infirmary, also known as the Crystal Palace. As you'll see, we do have some permanent residents in here. And these kitties are in here because they have urinary crystals. They have to be on a special diet, which prevents the crystals from forming. Think of crystals as a kidney stone in a human. It can block their ability to pee, which can be very painful. Hunchar, yes, we don't want that to happen. So you're in here eating special food all the time. Yes. You'll also note that we have cages in this room. We temporarily cage cats. As you'll see, we're empty right now, except for one over here. If a cat has had recent dental work or is temporarily ill, like a cold or a stomach bug or something that we don't want anybody else in the shelter to get, they'll come in here for a week or two, get medicated, and then they'll get let back out into their appropriate colony. Up here, we have Miss Natty, who is new to the shelter, and she's being tested for some of the different diseases, FeLV and FeLV. So she'll be caged for a couple of months. We're not sure what room she'll wind up in when she's done, but we'll find the right spot for her. One of the most important things when you're working here is, if you're working with a caged cat, is to fill out the card that's on the outside of the cage. The notes that are on here give the medical staff a good idea of if the cat's eating, whether they're using the litter box properly or not, and different things about their personalities too, which can also help determine what room the cat winds up in when it's time to be released, if they're new.
Hi, welcome to the senior room, which in my opinion is the best room here in the shelter. This is where all the older cats are staying, along with a lot of the quieter, maybe more skittish cats. It's a great place for them to acclimate to the shelter environment. So we have a really nice combination up here of a lot of really gentle, really loving cats. So again, that's why it's my favorite room. So here we do the same thing that in each of the other rooms occurs, such as cleaning, watering, cleaning litter boxes. We do have cages for some who are having medical issues, so we keep them isolated. Or we do have some cats over here that are being slowly acclimated into the shelter and into this room. Hi guys, how you doing? Now, what is unusual about this room is that in here we have a special food that we give them. And the reason for that is that we do have some cats who have an allergy to normal food. The food we serve is hypoallergenic, and all the cats, to make it easier, get this food. It's moist and dry food. There are some cats that do get regular canned food, and we'll just, you know, cage them off to let them have that. But otherwise, it is unique in the shelter. It is the only place in the shelter that does have special food.
This is the entry alcove for the FeLV room. This door leads back to the senior room, and then behind you is the firm entrance to the FeLV room. We keep the room separated so that we can put our gloves and our booties on before entering the FeLV room. When you exit the FeLV room, you have to remove your gloves and booties so that you don't track anything through. The other really important thing to remember about the FeLV room is everything in the FeLV room has to stay in the FeLV room. Feeding utensils, beds and bowls and things like that. The water pitchers, once they've been used in here, they should not be going anywhere else in the shelter. The laundry obviously does have to go to the laundry downstairs, but make sure it's inaccessible to the other cats until it can get into the wash, so that none of the other cats get any access to what may be contaminated, so just to be on the safe side. And we've got the fridge, we've got the microwave. Usually you'll see supplies of food, linens, paper towels. And one of the first things I always do when I come in here is check that I have everything before I get settled in here. And I already filled up 2 pitchers of water on my way in. This is Morgan, our resident slug. You will very rarely see her out from underneath something. However, if you do sit on the floor, she will come out for your lap. She definitely is a lap cat. Miles, who's our very alpha male and very demanding usually. He can get a bit nippy, but he's not really violent. Basil, one of the most affectionate and active cats in here. And this little flirt here is Luella, who must want her dinner. And here's Dennis, who we've been trying to get fattened up again, who's very sweet. Teddy is hiding. He's newly released from his cage, so he's still a little unsure about being out and about. But he does love affection. You just have to be a little cautious and let him, you know, accept you. And here's Raven. Raven and Miles are the 2 cats on a specialty diet, so they are not allowed to have regular food. And before we leave for the night, we have to remove any regular food from the public areas. Any cats in locked cages with regular food can keep their food, but the rest of the plates all have to be removed so that Miles and Raven don't get into them.